Scott with SJWellfire.com, Final Days Report, episode 174. What does diesel mean to America? And if there is limited supply of diesel, what does that mean for you? Folks, this is how bad it is. It's God, family, and diesel. That is how important diesel is to the American economy. I think they're taking it out by design. It's an AI takedown, in my personal opinion. But let's get into some facts about diesel. So from a trucking perspective, 75% of diesel engines power 75% of commercial trucks. So commercial trucks are the trucks that fix America, that are moving freight. And this is the big number to me. 70% of diesel engines move almost 70% of the nation's freight tonnage. I mean, trucking moves product from A to Z, your food, parts for manufacturing plants to actually run, parts for farm equipment to run, inventory for shops. I mean, diesel it's the key for the economy to move forward. Cheap diesel, especially. You think about, we just did a podcast about rivers being down. The Mississippi River is down. I talked about a barge captain saying if the river subsides anymore, he's going to be shut down actually running supplies down the Mississippi River. Then you think about the train strike threats. It's all by design, my friends. I was an economics minor, and one of the best things I learned in school is there's a substitute for everything. So let's say you don't have shampoo, use soap. I think that the theory falls a little short with some medication that you need to live, like penicillin, but the professor answered me that I thought was a little rubbish. But it's interesting, that principle in life, if you can't have something that you expect on one front, there are always other choices, and it makes you critically think as well. So let's say you can't necessarily run trucks. Let's say the roads are damaged. Well, then actually use trains. So it's almost like trucks are going to be impacted if diesel's not there. All trains basically run on diesel. Mississippi River's down. The river systems are down throughout the United States. Then you start getting involved in airplanes, super expensive. Pretty soon, we're going to have to move things by bike, by maybe motorcycle. Maybe cars actually will do it. There's always a way. You need to think about it. But this is the importance of small town living, decentralizing, in what's called a distributive competitive economy. Distributive sounds communist, but it's not. It's very hyper local. We need to set up local decentralized businesses. So again, USA runs on diesel. God, family, and diesel is the new catchphrase. So Tom Kloza, global head of energy analyst at OPIS, told USA Today last week, between now and the end of November, if we don't build inventories, the wolf will be at the door. I found that interesting in USA Today. The wolf, is this wink, wink? The wolf will be at the door. Is this by design? I question that. It will look like a big, ugly wolf if it's a cold winter. And this, to me, is the psyop of the dark winter that's been pushed for the last so many years. You can think about that from a heating perspective. This is more of an economy point of view, but folks, you're taking it all down, order out of chaos, right? So let's read 25 days. The U.S. has just 25 days of diesel supply, the lowest since 2008. Now, 2008, that's when the crisis happened, the housing crisis, right? And I got to tell you, I lived next to a banker who was pretty dialed in with some heavy up bankers in the Chicago land area. He was a middle manager, but his good friends were pretty high up in some big banks. And they were telling me that in 2008, some major grocery store chains, 2 of them in the Chicagoland area and beyond, could not get loans. And they basically said, if we don't get loans to buy inventory, the grocery store shelves will be empty in 3 to 5 days. Because the 5 days was they still had some inventory in their warehouses. And it went all the way up to the federal government, because the next slide I want to talk about at the grocery store level. Now, I'm not talking about the supply chain behind it, but a grocery store typically has 2 to 3 days worth of inventory. This is a low margin business. A grocery store will make 1% operating income. A good sound business, depending upon the business, will make 20 to 30% operating income. So it's a high volume, fast turn business. They turn their inventory quickly. Now, of course, some cleaning supplies won't turn as fast as 2 to 3 days, what we've all seen, empty grocery store shelves, especially during the poison poke era. So good night, my friends. If they shut down diesel, diesel runs the inventory, what's going to happen to our food supply? I highly suggest you buy seeds and buy your King James Version Bible. And the third thing I'm going to ask you that you do is pray for this ministry. Now, this is why I think it's man-made madness. It's obvious with all the food manufacturing plants catching on fire, but I just thought this was interesting. The Four Horsemen in the 2019 Economist magazine, we've covered this before. The Economist is owned by the Rothschilds. Rothschilds own supposedly the Federal Reserve Bank, the central banks. Got facial recognition here, but look at these clowns here. Four Horsemen. And you can just see it if you have eyes to see. Well, let's read an article from NPR on how important diesel is. I think they got it right. Diesel is the fuel of the economy, and it's in just about everything that we use. The bulk of manufactured and retail goods move day and night on trucks and trains powered by the fuel and manufacturing. Farming and heating also relies on diesel. And diesel is so deeply embedded in American life that its consumption is often seen as a barometer of the country's overall economic activity. Without it, the supply chain would collapse and things simply wouldn't work. You think about the agenda for 2030 World Economic Forum. I mean, this is perfect. The war on carbon, the war on gas, the war on you. You're made of carbon. Carbon dioxide is needed for plants to give us oxygen. And then I just always think about the 2025 Deagle report, because we're going to cover a dream that I had about gas gangs when gas was dirt cheap when I first started this ministry. And you think about the war talk that's happening. You think about what happened to Russia and their pipeline. Will they strike our diesel facilities? 2 facilities have already caught on fire. And so I'm sitting back and thinking as well, if there's a diesel shortage, our military runs on diesel. So we're giving all of our armaments to the Ukraine, or a lot of our armaments, missiles and that sort of thing. And if we have a diesel shortage and our soldiers are poison poked for that remote controlism technology, and then again, this is the most nefarious dream I've ever had. Kissinger's talks war, where I saw those Chinese troops coming in the United States. Chinese companies are buying up farmland right by our military bases. Right after the Chinese troops came in, I saw the Chinese plane, then I saw the U.S. plane, like by design, inviting in China troops. We had to pray against this. But let's say there's just an invasion, and our leaders they're neutering our military. It's obvious. And there are probably 4 or 5 other dreams I had of USA just getting attacked. And many other people have had dreams in that nature as well. But then you think about Russia. So Russia, I've always said, I think it's a 70-30 split. 70%, the elite are poking the bear. 30%, there are a lot of indicators. Putin's part of this one world government. And it's just interesting people's comments on that. But here's a 70% we're poking the bear. Well, this week, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland answered that question. Russia is an Orthodox Christian country with traditional social values, and for that reason, it must be destroyed no matter what the cost to us. So this is not a conventional war. This is jihad. I mean, what a freak. I put the blood of Jesus on Jamie Raskin and his evil, and may it turn to a blessing. Folks, this is a comment about a war on you if you're a Christian. This is a war on decency. This is a war on the Constitution. This dude's a pervert. I'm assuming it's a dude. And then it gets even more wild. Russia blames the British Navy for attacks on Nord Stream gas pipeline, and Russia continues to be pissed off at the United States for arming the Ukraine. And again, check out some of those podcasts that I've done about why Putin will nuke the United States first. And there's a couple other podcasts as well about us poking the bear. So can we even defend ourselves? Can our military defend ourselves with China, Russia, the whole supply chain? I mean, this all is by design. But what I want to do, I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to play the dream, a little snippet of the dream that I had of these gas gangs. It's not here yet, I don't think, but all of a sudden, if the shortage really becomes real, if all of a sudden the infrastructure, processing plants, if pipelines start to blow up here in the United States, and it might even just be a false flag, who knows? Do you have what it takes to survive? Can you get simple fast? Are you walking obedient with the Lord? Are you saved? So again, buy seeds, buy your King James Version Bible, and pray for this ministry. God bless. So I'm going to play this dream. This lady in this gas gang dream is this great whore harlot. In this dream, she was drowning a bull. Bull represents elders. This one came to fruition in my personal opinion because this great whore was really drowning this bull, and we're like, stop, stop, stop. And bull represents elder, men of God. And a couple people passed away during COVID-19, and a lot of people suspected foul play, suspected a bioweapon, and a couple people survived. Like Steve Quayle was convinced there was an attack on his life. But the same whore demoted this woman that stole the gas. It's going to play this dream here. And again, this was a long time ago when gas was cheap. I had this dream, and now diesel supposedly is at its lowest level. The war on diesel is evident if you want to destroy the economy of the United States, period. It's God, family, and diesel.
Then I mentioned this before. There was a gang that was they were evading military that was underserved, understaffed, and they had a car or a caravan, and one they split up. One went one way, the other went the other way, and they were stealing gas. They ended up evading and tricked the military, and they took the gas to a rock formation that was bored out, and they store or pump the gas into this rock formation, so it was hidden from surveillance. It was pretty clever. And then I saw this woman that led this stealing effort of the gas. She was demoted by another woman. And so I took it as gas is going to be king and super expensive and worth more than gold. Probably not worth more than food, but it just seemed wild. Maybe this dream is the sign of the times.